You know, there are some geniuses who burn so brightly they just consume themselves. They completely change the world, but that same fire that fuels their brilliance can leave nothing but ashes behind. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most famous and maybe tragic examples of this, the one and only Bobby Fischer.
And this is the real mystery, isn't it? I mean, how does the greatest chess player of all time, maybe the greatest ever, completely destroy himself? He got to the very top, took on an entire empire and won. And then, poof, he was gone. So what on earth happened?
And this quote, man, this says it all. For Bobby Fischer, this wasn't just some casual thing, a hobby. It was everything. His whole world, his whole reason for being. Right from the very start, there was nothing else but the game.
So let's go back to the beginning. To understand the legend, you really have to understand the kid. We're talking about a lonely boy in Brooklyn, single mom, working all the time. It was a pretty chaotic life. And then everything changed when his sister brought home a chess set she'd picked up at a candy store. Just like that.
Get this, he was only 6 years old. 6. His sister showed him how the pieces moved, and you know how it goes. She got bored with it pretty fast. But Bobby, oh, not Bobby. For him, this wasn't just a game. It became an obsession, like overnight. He started playing against himself for hours and hours, and then literally for whole days. He was just gone, lost in this new world.
And just imagine what that was like for him. Here's a kid whose home life is totally out of his control. But on that board, those 64 squares, that was his universe. It was perfect. It was logical. He was in complete command. No messy feelings, no chaos, just pure, cold truth. It was the perfect escape.
All right, so that escape, it didn't stay an escape for long. It turned into absolute dominance. I mean, within months of joining a chess club, this quiet little kid is just wiping the floor with grown men. We're talking experts who'd been playing their whole lives. His rise wasn't just quick, frankly, it was scary.
And look, this wasn't just raw talent. This was something else. This was a completely superhuman dedication. He wouldn't just read chess books, he'd devour them, memorize them. He knew thousands of games by heart. He was practicing 12, sometimes 15 hours a day. I mean, people around him were getting seriously worried. It was like he wasn't just trying to play chess, he was trying to solve it.
And then comes the moment. He's only 12 years old. 12! And he plays a game so mind-blowingly brilliant it gets a name, the game of the century. He's up against Donald Byrne, a top American master, and Bobby, this kid, just takes him apart.
Yeah, lethal art. That's the perfect way to put it. There's this moment in the game where he makes this wild, audacious move. He sacrifices his queen. His queen, the most powerful piece, just to set up this beautiful, unstoppable attack. It was like a lightning bolt. The whole world suddenly knew. A new kind of genius was here.
Okay, so this incredible genius is about to walk onto the world's biggest stage. See, back in the 60s, chess was the Soviet Union's game. Period. It was a state-sponsored machine, a way for them to prove their intellectual superiority to the world during the Cold War.
So the scene is set, and it is the ultimate David versus Goliath story. No exaggeration. On one side, you've got the Soviet chess machine. I'm talking dozens of grandmasters, government funding, special training camps, psychologists, the whole 9 yards. And on the other side, you've got Bobby, a lone wolf from Brooklyn. No coach, no system, just him. It was supposed to be impossible.
But he did the impossible. In 1970 and 71, he goes on what is probably the single most dominant streak in the history of any sport. 20 wins in a row. 20! Against the best players on the planet. He wasn't just winning, he was crushing them, humiliating them. The Soviets got to a point where they were terrified to even sit across the board from him.
So all of this leads to one place, Reykjavik, Iceland, 1972, the match of the century, the World Championship. It's Fischer versus the reigning Soviet champ, Boris Spassky. And believe me, this was way more than just a chess match. This was USA versus USSR, capitalism versus communism. The entire Cold War, distilled down to a battle of wills on a chessboard.
And the drama leading up to it was just insane. Fischer almost backed out. He's making all these crazy demands about the chairs, the cameras, the prize money. He actually forfeited the second game. It got so bad that the White House had to step in. We're talking Henry Kissinger himself, getting on the phone, telling him, Bobby, go win this for us."
And he did it. He went and he did it. This 29-year-old high school dropout from Brooklyn, he just dismantled the Soviet champion. 24 straight years of Soviet dominance in chess, over. Just like that. Bobby Fischer was the world champion. He had reached the absolute summit. And right here, this is where everything goes wrong.
Think about it. You've just achieved your one singular life's goal. You've conquered the entire world that you built for yourself. What do you do next? Well, Bobby Fischer did something nobody could have ever predicted. He just vanished.
I mean, he just stopped completely. He turned down every match. He turned down millions of dollars in endorsements. The biggest chess star on the planet, an American hero, just went into hiding. It's unbelievable.
And you can see how it all fell apart. By 75, he refuses to even defend his title. Why? Because the rules weren't exactly how he wanted them. He gives up the crown without a fight. Then he pops up again in 92 for this controversial match, which breaks US sanctions. And suddenly, he's a fugitive from the very country that once celebrated him.
It's so tragic. That same brilliant mind that could see truth on the chessboard, that could find these deep, hidden patterns, it just turned on him. It started seeing patterns everywhere else, in real life, conspiracies, enemies. He was convinced people were poisoning his food, bugging his rooms. He even had his dental fillings removed. The thing that made him a genius was now destroying him.
And as he pushed the world away, well, what he had to say to that world became darker and, frankly, much more ugly.
He started doing these radio interviews where he said the most awful things. He called the 9/11 attacks wonderful news. He launched into these horrible anti-Semitic tirades. And the thing is, he himself was of Jewish heritage. It was just a total, public, heartbreaking collapse of a once heroic figure. In the end, he found a home back in Iceland, the scene of his greatest victory. He lived out his final days there pretty much alone, and he died at the age of 64. You can't make it up. 64 years old, the same number of squares on a chessboard. A strange, poetic end to it all.
That may be the most telling and the most tragic detail of all are his supposed last words. Nothing is as healing as the human touch. I mean, wow. For a guy who spent his entire life avoiding people, pushing them away, hiding in the pure logic of a game, for those to be his final thoughts, it's just devastating.
So it leaves you wondering, right? Who really defeated Bobby Fischer? It wasn't Spassky, it wasn't the Soviets. His greatest opponent, the only one he could never beat, was his own brilliant, tragic mind. He conquered the world on the chessboard, but he just couldn't win the war inside his own head.